What's up, all you cool cats and kittens? Welcome to the first episode of the Lakeshow podcast. My name's Dominic Robles, here to give you entertainment.
My name's Josie. I'm bringing the Joes and Average Joe. We're just talking about sports, man.
And I'm Christian, and I'm just your regular guy that tries to talk about sports after high school. So let's get into it, boys. First topic. Let's go into it with newly signed with the G League, Jalen Green. The entire contract is about $500K. He has options to go with any sponsorships he would like to go with, including shoe deals, merchandise, and also the G League is offering to pay a full-term college scholarship. So meaning whichever school he wanted to go to, the G League would pay for it. So who wants to start off with this topic?
Yeah, man. Let me start off. Fortunately, I got to see this man play live. You know, I went to a couple of his games when he was in Fresno. I got to see him ball out, and first and foremost, I like to say, and congrats to that guy. He deserves it. Hopefully, he makes it. He'll only be for a year. He's gonna go to the NBA next year. I think it was a great decision to make. I think it was the right decision for him to make. And you don't agree, Dom?
No, I don't. But if you want to go, I'll let you finish.
Yeah, guys like that, man, their life is geared towards the NBA. That's gonna be his work. That's gonna be his profession. So if he's skilled and he's at that level, why not go do it? Guys like Luka Doncic and guys that play overseas, these guys start playing when they're like in their teens, early teens. It was 12, 13, and he was already a professional. Like that's what these guys are working for. And if they can get started early, why not? Why not go into that system, that development system? And now they're gonna get paid more. The G League before wasn't paying that much, and didn't have all these incentives, right? So I could see why guys would be hesitant in going there and consider going to the NCAA before. But more and more guys were going overseas. But the NBA is like, why would we do that? Why would we want to take our scouts over there and watch them play? If we can watch them play here. And they don't want to play in college because they don't get paid in college. And there's guys out there, man, like LeBron and other guys like KG. They went straight out of high school. And those guys, they didn't have the paper that some of these cats have going into the league right now or going into college. They couldn't afford going to college. They need to go make that money for themselves and for their family. So I can't blame Jalen going and getting his money.
Now, explaining the last point, I'd want to say, right, you're saying KG, Kobe, LeBron, right? Those are completely different athletes on a different level. If you look at them in high school compared to, Jalen's a baller, don't get me wrong. A complete baller, right? He's going to make it to the league one day, no doubt about that. But the thing is, if you look at the development of KG, Kobe, LeBron, it's way different. I don't know if that's just a generational change or what. I think what kids should do now, I wasn't extremely happy with the decision. I understand it. It's a better option for him than going overseas, I felt, just because of the full scholarship offer. But that's if he takes advantage of that offer, if that makes sense. Because,
you guys done?
Yeah.
Oh, my bad. No, sorry. I just want to drop some facts for you. Okay. So I was reading about it, and it's a program that he's going in. And that program, that 500 plus K that he's going to be getting, that's only going to be offered to elite prospects. So the G League players separately, they still get paid their $35,000 a year. This is separate. It's a different program for elite prospects. So he's going to be being paired up with other elite prospects plus other veteran players. I don't know who the veteran players are going to be, and plus they're going to get some coaching. I don't know how great the coaching is going to be. Compare as whether if he goes to the NC. Right. Well, no, it's going to be. He's pretty much going to like AAU league because they're going to be doing like 10 to 12 expedition games playing against G League teams, also playing against overseas teams. So he still gets the experience of playing overseas, which is cool. But my whole thing is, how great is this new program going to be from the get-go? like, how's that going to work out with the coaching? Like, is it going to be better for him? I understand the NCAA's, they got their issues, but the coach, you can't beat the coaching in the NCAA with those great coaches. That's my whole stem.
It makes a difference. This program is specifically geared for these elite players, like you said, right? Like, and
right.
They're not in the actual G League. They're just like a member of a G League. It sounds like.
No, yeah. So they're pretty, yeah.
They'll play against some G League teams, and they're also play against some overseas teams, right? Like in Australia, Spain. They'll also play against like NBA academies across the world. So, and they're not gonna just these guys are assets. These elite prospects, they're assets, and they know that. They don't want to burn them out, because that was the concern before with the G League. Like, hey, these guys are going to play so many games, and they're going to get injured, and then, that's it for them. And they weren't making enough money. Now you're giving them that money. You give them the opportunity to go get sponsors, go get endorsements, so they'll make their money, right? And they sign these contracts. Some of these salaries, part of their salaries are going to be guaranteed. And like I said, they're assets to these programs, right? They're assets to future.
Right.
They're going to take care of these players. Because the concern was, okay, I've heard that they go to the G League, they get hurt, that's it. Nobody cares about them. No. Their salaries are guaranteed, especially if the salary is higher. They're going to take care of those players.
No, right. They're on a year contract.
Yeah, they're on a year contract.
I have to debate with that, because how are we sure that they're going to make sure of them and take care of them, right? There's so many factors that we don't know and that are out of the player's control, right? Like health, injury, just stuff like that are out of the player's control, correct? Those are obvious things. The other thing is, like Dom said, the coaching. How do we know this is quality coaching? I mean, they say one-on-one coaching or individual coaching with the elite group, right? But how do we know that they're going to give them the tools that are better than what a college coach would? Like, let's say UNC or Duke or Kentucky. Those coaches have sent, I don't know how many players to the NBA and have succeeded. You know what I mean?
But hey, here's the thing I think we confuse. A coach is great for like fixing like small things, like movements or plays, or just getting.
A coach is great at coaching.
Yeah, coach is great at coaching in terms of just showing a player how to develop in that team format, right? But what I'm telling you is that those players that are at that level, a lot of that stuff is way set in stone before they even get to the college, before they get to college ball, right? And the elite players, because this is what this program is geared for, and this is what we're talking about. Jalen Green is an elite player. He's the number one prospect.
Right, and there's no doubt he's going to the NBA.
Yeah, there's no doubt. And I'm saying there's other players that are going to join him there that are also elite players that are going to the NBA.
Like, what was his name? Isaiah Todd.
Yeah.
Isaiah Todd should be joining him. That's what the talks are. But what I'm saying is that let's not get it confused. These players do go to these programs so they get more exposure, right? To to Kansas, to Duke, right? To the Tar Heels. They go to these big programs for that exposure. And these coaches, I'm sure they're really good. They're really good. But that player, he's not making that player. That player has made himself already before he gets to the college ball. And if he's an elite player, he's only there for 1 year. So that coach has him for 1 year. You're gonna tell me that 1 year he's the guy that made him go into the NBA? Nah.
A lot of players in the NBA like to think so, though. They say their college coaches really did play a big factor in their lives.
Like, for example, Devin Booker. Devin Booker said that his coach was the one that it's not necessarily that he taught him individual skills. He taught him the understanding of a system.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
No, yeah.
So it's not fine-tuning the little individual skills. It's understanding the overall process, right? Like pick and roll, going under screens, defending over screens, and different systems and understanding that system. It's maybe not just understanding the concept of, I need to go to practice every day. No. Now you got to create a team culture in the NBA too, and that's what a lot of players, unfortunately, are losing. Right, going from being the superstar their entire life, and it's happening all across sports, right? In football, you have these players that aren't becoming the role models; they're just becoming the star player that wants to get paid,
Yeah.
right? And that's what I feel the
Right.
college system is getting used for,
Yeah.
right?
See,
Well,
I can't disagree with you about the system. I think that's what the college ball is for, right? Is really further developing that system into players, like how to play into a system. So I can't argue with you there. What I'm saying is that is that I don't think they're going to get lesser quality. If anything, they're playing against better competition day in day out. They're playing against other elite players. Whereas you go into a college ball, yes, even if you go into top programs, but you play in these conferences, not all those players are at that elite level. They're bigger and stronger because they've had a couple years in college, but they're not necessarily like the most elite of the elite. And that's what this program is geared for.
well, instead of going to colleges, would you say overseas is elite though? Like playing overseas in a good league. I
Like
mean,
you're
because there's a
playing-
lot of like nowadays, it's just like baseball and basketball. There's a lot of foreign players because there's a lot of talent around the whole world with this.
Yeah, of course. Of course there's talent, We have Luca, we have Ricky Rubio, we have Mark and Paul Gasol, we have Antetokounmpo. We have all these guys, all these foreign players, right? So yeah, the level of play is elite outside of the country. But what I'm saying is that this is good for the NBA. The NBA is based here.
Right.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
understand what you're saying on that part, but
Other leagues in other countries. Yeah.
right. But let's talk about, let's say there's a 3-star player playing in, I believe the next best league is either the Chinese league or the Spain league, right? So what if we put a 3-star player and he's balling in the Spain league, right? Where Luca came from with Real Madrid. But then you have a player like LaMelo Ball who's playing in Lithuania and he's balling over there, right? A 5-star recruit playing in a almost not heard of league, and then you have a 3-star recruit playing in a well-known league. How do you say one's elite and the other one's not, even though they're playing at 2 totally different levels?
I think
Right.
that's a great question. But honestly, that's what they have scouts for. We can definitely try to talk about that. But I just think, you know what? That's a great question, but I don't think we're going to talk about that. You know why? We're going away from our main topic.
I like the idea of this.
Let me stop you real quick. I got to double down on Jalen Green going to the G League. You know what? I talked to my boy this morning. You know what he did? Man, he sent me my own G League cap.
Wow, this guy. Look at the hand drawing.
He
Look at
really
that.
drew this. Like, did he really draw this? He really planned this.
Is that you? Like the actual size of you in the hat, or what?
Is that like a C, or is it upside down? Or-
My boy Jalen hooked me up with this hat. He said we're taking our talents to the G League. I said, cool. I did a highlight reel for the boy once, so he was showing me some love back.
Just to let you guys know, Josie does some cheesy things on here, but it's great because we get to
Like I
make
said,
fun.
fellas,
Right.
hold on. Let me talk about my boy Jay some more. Look.
No, you had enough to talk. Let me get back into it. Let me get back into it. You can wait. You can wait.
No.
You're done. You're
Listen,
done.
don't
You're
take the bag away from my boy Jalen. Because one thing we're not talking about, the reason why we're talking about this topic right now, it's the biggest thing in sports today. You go to ESPN, boom, right? Like Jalen's face was there. This is a game changer. Him going.
You're not wrong, but
I'm
when
gonna
you
explain. I'm gonna explain why.
We're
I'm gonna explain why it's the biggest. No, it's the biggest thing because he's the number one athlete on ESPN.
Yes, but I'm telling you, let's talk about from a historical perspective, why this is so important. This right now, I'm not saying Jalen is LeBron. I'm not saying Jalen is Steph. I'm not saying Jalen is Kobe, but Jalen is leaving his mark. He left his mark yesterday when he signed this deal, when he agreed to this deal. Because he's the first one at that elite of a level to do this. It was like when LeBron left Cleveland for the first time and hopped with the Heat. It was like Curry You know, making that three the go-to shot in the league, it's a game changer. It's a
Are
game.
you done? You done? It's big news. It's big news because Jalen is a great athlete and he's going to go drafted possibly number 1 in the draft 2021. That's why it's big news. But my whole thing is talking about the future of this whole idea, this whole program. Like, I just want to know how it's going to work. Like, it's great for the NBA. Yeah, they're going to have all their guys here. But my whole idea is, how is the coaching going to work out? How many elite players are they going to get? Like, are they going to have all the money for all these kids? Like, what if eventually all these elite players want to get in? Like, are there going to be like a poll or a voting on who we pick and choose or what? Like, I don't know how that's going to work. Plus, I heard Jalen Green could possibly make up to $1 million. So that's more money added onto that. And now they're supposed to be teamed up with veteran players. How's that going to mix up? And then they're going to play G League players. Don't you think the G League players are going to be mad? You brought in these prospects. They're making like way more than us, and we're playing games against them.
Right. Like you're saying, like if I'm playing a basic person, and I'm the basic person, and I'm playing against an elite guy, and that guy's getting paid, but I'm playing against him, I feel like I should get some of that dough too.
Like, yeah, like, yo, I bet you some of those G League players were ranked, you know, in their time, they're ranked in ESPN top 100 or something too. And now all of a sudden this is coming around. They're still getting, I'm getting paid more than them at my job.
You know what? This is the way the cookie crumbles. It's a matter of timing too. It's a matter of timing, you know. It's like you said, right? Maybe playing overseas or playing college. But let me go back to that debate about guys going to college. Sometimes a guy will go to college and he'll lose his value. Like in high school, these guys are talked up, right? Like you're hearing about them. They go to college, you know what? They might fall off.
But you know? That's the same. What makes you think they won't lose their value doing this, though?
Yeah.
It could be the same thing.
But this, right now, is they're making their money. They're assuring some of their money. So you might go to college, you might get hurt.
And that can go to their heads, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Hey, these kids, they go to college, they go for 1 year and they're done. If it gets to the head, it gets to their head. No, you know what? They need to put the right people around them. And that's a discussion for another time. But I'm saying, I
don't really like the whole one and done thing in college anyways, because they go to the NBA and they're not really elite until like 3 or 4 years later. Then when they could have just did college their whole 4 years and got a degree or something.
Why go to
some sort?
The elite guys, right? The guys that they want to do this for a profession. Like, why are they going to go to 3 or 4 years into college and lose out on $3 or $4 million perhaps?
And that I will explain exactly.
Well, because the whole thing is it's a backup plan. Like, anybody can get hurt. You know what I mean? And the whole thing is that you get your scholarship to go to school for plan B in case you get hurt. Because, I mean, you never know when you're going to get hurt, and your whole career can go to shit.
That's fine and dandy. But you can't force someone to make
it's very dandy
plan.
Here's another point. Okay, so basketball, let's say they're healthy, they go through their entire career. What do they do after? That's the main goal, right? You play ball, you make your money, you make your dough, you go on, and now what do you do with it? You spend it all in the first year after you're done? What do you do then? You have to learn how to invest that money into something, right?
Yeah,
but it doesn't last forever.
I definitely agree with you, Briz, but I'm saying that happens into like personal growth, you know? You can't force anybody to
right.
Like, if you have that mentality, like, hey, I'm gonna make money even after this. Like, you need to know, as a player or when you're great at anything, you know you have a limited time. Even if you don't get injured, your body can only take this like 15 years, maybe, right?
Right.
You know that there's a
20.
Yeah, there's a point where you can't keep going anymore. But
that's started.
Yeah, that's your job. That's your job to know that. That's your job to put people in place around you, to guide you. You know, that's your job to look into other resources because you have the money to invest your money. You have the money
right.
to start a business. Yeah.
Right now, I'd say this is you're getting your check. That's cool for the players. It's taking a risk. And really, this was just a big F you to the NCAA from the NBA, because the NBA is offering them college degrees too, are paying for them to go to school. But my whole thing is, like, NCAA is NCAA. They're gonna come out and start paying players. They're gonna do something so they don't lose money. So it's history. Everybody goes to NCAA and plays college ball. So the NCAA is gonna do something about it. They're gonna answer back real quick.
I guarantee in the next year or two, there's going to be another rule. It's
Right.
Players are going to have to play 2 years, at least get an associate's degree or something at that point.
I really don't. I think NCAA will clap back, Dom. I agree with you in some ways.
Right. I don't think they'll clap back as big though. Not as big.
No.
But they're gonna have to clap back at some point. These guys, NCAA does make so much money from these kids, you know. But
right, and that's wrong. I get that. Yeah.
But another thing, Briss, is like forcing somebody to go for college for 2 years, and that's not what they want to do. These guys are 18 already when they're going. Usually, they're 18 when they're going. They're legally adults. Like, I think it goes against like our American values. You're forcing someone to do something they don't want to do.
Okay, maybe.
No, but they can go overseas though. It's not a force.
Right.
But I'm saying they don't have to anymore. Yeah,
let's go with the example that.
I just think this one and done thing is pointless to begin with. If you're 18 and you want to go to the league, go to the league. Go get your money. You're an adult. Make your decision. If it doesn't work out, then that's on you. But each player has that individual responsibility to them.
Well, like with the program, only elite. Because I think only elite players can do the one and done. You don't want every kid doing one and done. You know what I mean? Because like, bro, you're not good enough. Why are you gonna do one and done?
And
why are you gonna go straight to the NBA?
What classifies as elite, right? Yeah. Is it 4-star? Is it 5-star? Is it 3-star? I mean, in different scouts' eyes, an elite player can be anybody, right? Depending on
right, that's true.
What they want. I mean, you could be a 3-point shooter, but you're horrible on the inside, right? Or you could be all post and horrible on the outside, but you're not considered elite, especially in today's game. Yeah. So how do you classify somebody based on a ruling or ranking, let's say by ESPN or by another organization? How do you choose them and say they're the elite and they get to be available to have that option when there's like maybe one kid that is probably better, but just because he hasn't had the exposure gets ranked as a 3-star compared to a 4-star?
That's true.
Yeah, I agree with you, but that's a very broad topic. I think that's why there's scouts put in place, and that's why. And it also depends on where the game is at in the moment. Like right now, shooters are a lot more valued. 10, 20 years ago, inside guys were a lot more valued. Right, the game has changed. So what is considered elite, I think, depends on the time, depends on the position, depends on what your team needs. Not everybody.
Well, it's also very important in this topic though, because they're paying only elite prospects, it says. So they got to come out and say, well, who's elite? Is it their rankings? Like whoever's ranked top 50 or top 100 or something? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Hey, but anyways, like, I don't know. I don't see why we're so concerned with that, because that's on them to select them.
True.
That's on them to propose who they want to give contracts to. So I don't see that being a big concern, because like, hey, it's that organization's money. So they get to choose who they think is elite. And the qualifications of it could be really subjective. But you know what? They can afford that luxury to be subjective with what is elite and what is not.
That's true. That is true. However, let's say, are they going to offer the same amount of money to each kid?
They're not.
And how do you determine that? I mean, like I
said, you're the boss and you're going off of talent. I'm going to pay you for however much I think you're worth. And if you're a professional now, so say, you wanted to go to the league, both of you two want to go to the league, right? I get to judge what I think is most important, what I see in you, and how much you're worth. And I have the money, so I can do that. And you're a professional and you want to do this, then you know that not everybody's going to get paid the same. This isn't socialism. This isn't communism. This is a capitalistic business. The guys in the NBA, LeBron, Steph, they're making so much more than a guy like Richard Jefferson was making when he was playing in the league. Or a guy like Kyle Culver was making the league. Decent players, but they weren't making that much. But those guys know that that's how the business works. and they're still getting a lot more money than like us average Joes. So if you want to complain at that level, then so be it. But then don't go into it. Going into it what you're gonna that you might not get paid as much as another player might get paid, but you're making a hell of a lot more money than someone that's working a regular job, and you're playing a game.
That's my whole thing. I think it's just a money thing in a sense, because I think you can still get all that great stuff in college, NCAA, with great programs. You can still get great coaching, because those coaches, they go to the NBA too. They come back. They go back and forth.
Right.
They got great programs over there too, so you can get all that. And I think the level of competition is actually better in college, because you're playing against G League players who never are going to make it into the NBA. Like a bunch of them never going to make it in the NBA, except for my boy Langelo Ball. He's going to make it to the NBA in the OKC Thunder. But I think there's a lot more competition in NCAA, especially March Madness. Like, I mean, nobody's going to go away from the history of the NCAA and March Madness. Like, a lot of players want to get into that and experience that. You know what I mean?
I have to agree. I don't think the level is better in the NCAA.
I'm gonna have to disagree with that one, because just this last year,
you have so many
number one teams drop.
You have so many different college programs across the nation, and even if we just look at the Division I programs, right? There's so many of them. You're telling me that every single of those hundreds and hundreds of teams is elite? They're not elite. They're really good, and that's why they got there, but they're not elite. The guys in the G League, okay, yeah, there's only a couple hundred guys that are in the NBA total. They're the elite of the elite of the elite, even the really crappy players that we think are crappy, right? But what I'm saying is, and those guys in the G League, yeah, most of them don't make it. But you know what? That's all they do is play basketball still to try to make it. Whereas these guys in college, some of them
all they do is play basketball too.
No, they go to class. They have other things. But what I'm saying is that
I don't know about that one, because let me put it like this, right? How many G League players get time on TV, right? How many have prime time spots on TV? Let's say.
Wait, and then you just said they go to class, they do other things. So, well, that's exactly what Jalen's going to be doing. He's going to be going to class to get a degree if he chooses, and he's going to be doing other things. He's got money now. He's going to be spending it, doing other things.
What do college players have? They don't have that money.
I know.
We're not debating that part, right? The college system is messed up with them not getting.
No, yeah, we all agree on that.
But you're saying that college is the way. But or you're not necessarily saying it, but you're thinking it's still a good option. I don't think it's a good option altogether if you're at that elite level, because right now, if you look at how things are right now, man, the NBA gets the most attention. Then you know who gets the most attention after that? It's not college ball. It's not overseas ball. It's not the G League. You know what it is?
I was going to say, you said the G League.
No, high school ball. These high school players are getting so much more. We're talking about a high school player right now. Yeah. He's still in high school. Zion, when he was in high school, I know so many.
The Drew League, a lot of high school kids.
What I'm saying is, all these high school players right now, all these high school cats, they're the ones that everybody is purring about. It's not these college guys. It's not. The only college guy I knew last season was Zion. But before that, other than that, I really didn't know any guys. I heard more about these high school players. I'm saying college isn't, if you want the attention, college, you don't need to go to college. You're going to get that, you're going to get all that buzz in high school. And if you're elite, you should be able to go to the league.
All right, well, let's just agree at this. I just want to see how the program's going to play out, though. Because the thing is, they got to have a good coaching in there. They got to have good coaching in there. Good veterans to come in there to help, oversee these young players and help develop them. So that's the whole thing. I just want to see how it's going to work out.
So final thoughts, guys.
Final thoughts?
On the decision, yes, no, maybe. What's your guys' thoughts?
Final thoughts? Like I said, I'm all in. G League, boys. Final thoughts, though, honestly, I just want us to appreciate the historical value that Jalen's decision made. And I think we're going to see so many effects of it in the coming years. He's the first one. He won't be the last. And this might be the new thing, It might not be college. It might not be overseas. It might be a program like this.
My final thoughts is no doubt Jalen's a great player, and he's going to go top number one pick probably. But at the end of the day, history is history, and a lot of people are going to go revert to the NCAA. That's what's going to happen. That's my opinion.
And my final thoughts are I'm still up in the air. I'm in the middle. I don't know just because we haven't seen the final direction of what this signing means. We haven't seen it in progress. So until the final result happens, then I'll make a decision on exactly what this is. But anyways, congratulations, Jalen, on making this deal. Hopefully it goes well. Hopefully you prove us wrong and Josie is right. But only history will tell.
Show the hat.
G League boys.
Ooh.
G League boys.
And next topic, since we're on the topic of possible people going to the NBA, let's go ahead and talk about Cole Anthony. Today he made his decision to declare for the draft. So he did play at the University of North Carolina. He did have it was his first year, so he's technically going to be a one and done. However, things to keep in mind are he did have a meniscus injury. He missed 11 games with the surgery in December. He did come back, and unfortunately the league was canceled, and now we're going on to see with the mystery of how he would have came back, how fully he would have came back, and what are your guys' decisions on him going to the league? Let's go ahead and start off with Dom.
So my opinion on Cole Anthony, I think that's hurting his draft stock. I think he's going to fall down below. And right now, it's really hard to draft a guard in like the top. Just seeing how the standings are in the NBA right now, depending on the draft lottery, I think a big's going to go. There's going to be a couple of bigs in the beginning. If Golden State gets there, the Cavs, but I have LaMelo Ball on top of Cole Anthony, just in my opinion. I mean, it might be speaking from the heart. I don't know. But talent-wise, I think he's got more of the experience. He's played pro ball when he was a young age. He's played overseas in Australia. Cole Anthony, I think he still has a lot more developing to do. He's good. He's a great scorer. He's a great shooter. But as far as like the top point guard prospect of this class, I got LaMelo Ball going on top of him, point guard wise.
Yeah, I mean, if you wanted to talk about LaMelo, we can have his own little section. But we're talking about Cole Anthony, right? And let me tell you, I think this is another thing that we haven't mentioned, but that factors into Jalen's decision and factors into Cole Anthony's decision. I think we haven't talked about the elephant in the room. You know what that is? That's the coronavirus, right? Cole Anthony was coming back. He would have been available for that March Madness. It would have raised the stock, right? But this coronavirus thing, it's not going away right now, guys. It's not. The NBA is not being played right now because of that. All the sports world is on hold right now because of this, and those effects might still linger into the fall. Into the next season for the NCAA. I don't think Cole Anthony would benefit from staying in college. I think he's making the right decision. He might not go first. He might not be in the top 10.
Right.
He's going to get drafted. We know he's going to get drafted.
Right.
No doubt.
I mean, he's shown enough. He's shown enough this year.
Yeah. He's shown enough this year. He's shown enough.
Yeah.
The concerns are definitely his injury, right? Like, will he tear it again? We have some guys, unfortunately, like D. Rose kept getting hurt. Great talent. Guard also, right? That's the concern.
Right.
But other than that, that would also be the concern if he stayed and played in college, is that he could get hurt again. He could.
No, he'll be a first rounder, I'm sure.
No. What I'm saying is that you're saying if it's hurting his draft prospect, right? Because he didn't play enough. Yeah, of course they hurt him a little bit. He's not gonna go. He's not gonna go. He's not gonna go one. He's not. Whether it's LaMelo or somebody else, yeah, definitely could happen. It's not gonna be Cole Anthony.
I got Wiseman going number 1.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that if he stayed in college and he keeps getting hurt, he's never gonna get any paper. And if this guy, I don't know him in a personal level, right? If he's only good at ball and that's all he has, man, this guy's screwed. So he will still go first round. He will still get some paper, and then he's part of this business. He's an asset to this business now. They're going to take care of their asset. They'll provide him with a good rehab. He'll be good to go because of this long break, right? And hopefully if he shows up, he'll stay in the league for a number of years. He's going to make money. I think it's the right decision for him to make. Yeah, I heard something today, opportunity doesn't show itself too many times. When it does, you got to take it. For this kid, he grew up for this moment to get drafted. And, yeah, he's not going to get drafted where he wanted to get, but he's going to get drafted. He's going to go to the NBA. He's going to make his money. So I think it's the right decision for him too.
All right, I've heard both sides, and this is my opinion. So I am with Dom on the part that he shouldn't have got drafted, or he shouldn't go to the draft, right? The reason being, right, that injury. Now, what you're saying is the rehab process. I get that. If you go to the NBA, you're probably going to get pretty good medical services. But in college, I mean, dude, he's at a elite college. He is at the University of North Carolina. They do not play around. They have some of the top medical services in that part of the country.
No doubt, but he's in his paper.
Why not wait and go to the next draft class and get even more paper, even get a higher stock?
I think what you're forgetting is that rookies can only make so much anyways, you know?
But if you're a 15th pick compared to a first pick, how much more paper can you get though?
Even if he's the number one pick, they can only get so much paper, and for those like 3 or 4 years, right? And then when they're getting ready to re-sign their contracts, that's when they get the real paper. So I think it's the right decision for him. You know, he's not gonna get paper. They have professional medical personnel at these NBA teams.
It's professional at the college level too.
Business. You're telling me that you're disregarding the medical staff at these teams?
No, I'm not disregarding the NBA. I'm just saying.
You're saying that no. What you're suggesting is that he's not going to be as well taken care of because these programs or these universities have great medical programs. I'm telling you that these teams have some of the best doctors and medical staff that could have. So I'm saying both of those things cancel out.
Well, let me put it like this.
What's left is that you're getting money here and you're not getting money here. You're getting medical help, great medical help, excellent medical help, both sides. Cancels out. Boom. In the equation, all you have is money, no money. Gotta go with money.
Right, but let me bring in this factor, right? Let's say he's been with this medical staff at University of North Carolina, right? He has a connection. They talk to him on a daily basis. They've been with him basically a year. You go with the people in the NBA, right? You have to retrust that system. And let's say it doesn't click right away. And that is possible, right? Sports injuries happen where things don't click right away. And unfortunately, it's because you don't feel comfortable with people because you're building new relationships. They don't know you. You don't know them at the beginning, right? Yeah. Do we understand that part?
I understand that part, but here's the other thing.
Right.
Here's the other thing. That's part of the sports world. You know, some of these players, if you're not LeBron, you're not Curry, you're not Durant, you're not some of these players, you have to get comfortable with the idea that you might be shipped somewhere else next week, right? Especially during free agency.
Right, it's a business.
Right.
It's a business. So if you're working towards becoming a pro, then start handling those pro things. And that's what happens to players. They get moved around. They get different coaches, different medical personnel, different teammates, different trainers, and they have to make that adjustment like that quicker. It's nothing different, guys.
No, I get what you're saying. My whole thing is like I don't know what I said, Christian. I thought I was being kind of clear. No, I think it's good that he's going to the draft. My whole thing is even if he was healthy, I don't think he'd still be drafted as high. I don't think he's that with the talent that the draft class that's in there right now. I don't think he's up there. So it's cool that he's getting into the draft. I don't know where he's going to land, seeing how everything's going to play out. I don't know if the NBA is going to continue or not. But I think he'll do pretty good in the NBA. It's just hard for me to see some of these guys who I don't know. It always takes these draft class, the rookies, like so long to develop. They really don't peak until like 28 or something like that, MVP levels. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They got a lot of processing to go through. But he's a legit scorer, though. He is.
I want to add to what you said, Dom. I think that's the truth. That's true about most players, though. You know,
right?
There's only so many players that come into the league and right away they make a difference, or right away they're
right.
Off the top of my head, LeBron right out of high school like that. KG, right away like a baller. But most guys don't. Most guys take time to develop, even though they're elite out of high school. Even they're
yeah. There's a lot of guys.
Yeah. They still need time to develop. It's getting used to playing against a bigger man, the pace, these guys in college, they play under the lights, they play under that atmosphere. But now your livelihood, right? Like it's a business now. You get that stress of work. It is a job, right? But I think I still think it's the right decision for him. Yeah.
Well, let me put it like this, right?
I agree.
Traditionally, UNC is a 4-year school for every player, right? You understand that part? I mean, that's what I've understood at UNC is usually a school that most players go to because they don't want to be one and done. Traditionally, unlike Duke, Kentucky, right? One and dones every single year. Most of their squad is wiped out by the end of the year. I think he should have stayed with UNC just because he'll get. I understand that he should make livelihood, right? But he's comfortable. He could have rehabbed, could have went another year, developed. If he wanted to stay another year, compete for a national championship with a squad that's traditionally all 4 years that they'll stay, right? So you'll have a squad from most of the college system, and try to succeed at that level before you get to the NBA. Like you guys are talking about development, right? Those are
I see what
years.
you're saying.
Those are years you could have added on for development through a good program.
Yeah.
That's just my thoughts on that.
But we have other guys develop, like I said, Dom, like guys take time to develop. Look at Kawhi.
Yeah.
Kawhi wasn't the guy going into the Spurs. Going into him playing in the Spurs, he wasn't the guy. There's Tony Parker. There's Manu.
Right.
There's,
Right.
there's Duncan. He definitely was not the guy. He was a fourth, fifth option.
Is Duncan not the guy because he didn't want to be the guy, or just because he just did his job?
No, he wasn't. He wasn't the guy. He wasn't the best player on that team.
Oh, we can have
On the Spurs?
Yeah, on the Spurs.
Kawhi, no,
Duncan wasn't the best player on the Spurs?
No, I'm talking about Kawhi.
Kawhi wasn't the best player.
Yeah, I said
you just said Duncan. That's why.
Yeah, because I said you had Tony Parker on the team, you had Manu on the team, you had Duncan on the team. Kawhi wasn't the guy going into the Spurs.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Guys taking a couple.
We had to clarify.
No, I'm talking about guys taking a couple years to develop, and
right.
I don't know why we think that's such a bad thing. It's not. You take time to. You're in a new atmosphere, in a mega billion-dollar atmosphere per se, right? You're gonna take time to develop. Their guys peak at 4 or 5 years. You're right. Paul George wasn't the baller he is right now. This first couple of years, it took time to develop, and that's what happens. That's when the work ethic shows. That's when it shows how great you want to be.
Right.
Kawhi is one of the top 5 players in the world right now. And he wasn't that. He wasn't that in his first couple of years. No one knew he would be that.
Right. Well, so, overall, I think we're agreeing. I think Cole Anthony did enough this year to, enter in this draft class. I think he's proven enough, and he'll go in the first round.
Right. Yeah. Now, where in the first round, none of us are exactly sure. I'm going to say top 5 just because of his name, what he did in high school, right?
I don't got him top 5.
That's just I like the kid. I watched most of the UNC games. I like what he did. Unfortunately, he got hurt. But he did come back in the few games. I think there was 2 at the max. He did look back to normal. However, it's too short of a time to see, right? With injury, With injury, you probably should have seen throughout the whole tournament. But unfortunately, under the conditions, we didn't get to see him.
No, yeah, top 5 is going to be hard because right now you got Golden State. They got guards. The Cavs, I think Sexton and Garland are like their future. So I don't know if they'll go that way. The Timberwolves they just got D'Angelo Russell.
Right.
The Hawks, Trae Young. Yeah. Detroit is the only option right there. I know they got D Rose. He's older though, but I got Melo going Detroit. I think they'll go with Melo right there. Well, and then New York's another option.
Well, remember it's Chicago. A lottery. It's a lottery, so we.
Yeah, it's a lottery. It depends how it all plays out, but
Yeah, it's a lottery, but like Dom said, those teams that have a higher percentage of probably going in the top couple picks, they don't need the guards. Yeah.
No, they don't. They need the big. I think James Wiseman is a big fit.
Yeah, that guy is ridiculous. He's a very smart, high IQ, and can take ball. Um, go ahead, go ahead.
No, I think I mean for me, my final thoughts on this are that I think he made the right choice. Amid what the situation that we're in right now, where people are out of work and people are uncertain about their futures. He's taking control of his future. He's gonna go get his money. He's not gonna land where he wanted to land, but his thing is like I'm gonna show them in a couple of years, and I'm gonna get even more money. I'm not where I was or where I wanted to be, but I'll get there in a couple of years. But I'm gonna go make some money right now.
Right. I think it's a good decision. Well, he has money, right? Isn't his dad former NBA player or something like that, right?
Something along those lines.
I mean, like Curry, he's grown up in that atmosphere. So, I mean, I think he's making the smart choice. He's got his parental advice. So, I mean, overall, I think the kid's going to work out great. He's good. He's a great scorer. Don't get me wrong. So, he's going to be a good fit wherever he goes.
My final thoughts are just I'm not completely happy with it. I understand it. My thing is, if he's at a traditional 4-year school, he probably should have finished at least 2 or 3 more years, just to try and see and keep the tradition of trying to earn that NCAA trophy at the end of the year, and then go on and be an NBA superstar, just for the purpose of it. Because he did choose the college system, right? He had the option to go overseas or go to the NCAA, and he chose the NCAA. If you choose that route, I feel you should just finish that route. Final thoughts. That's it.
I gotta disagree with that. Hold up. You know what I say? Forget tradition, man. That school, yes, they're taking care of him. Giving him free education. But you know what? They're getting a lot more from him and his name and his likeness from playing the game than he's getting from them. Even at the university level, it's still a business. Except in that business, these players don't get enough. He doesn't owe them anything. He doesn't owe them anything. Yeah, let's move on.
All right. Any other thoughts, Dom?
No, I'm good. I'm agreeing with Josie for, surprisingly. I kind of want to be his opposite, but
you guys are always opposite. You guys are always opposite. But anyways, I guess I'll be the bad guy in this situation. So next topic. So the next topic is going to be the infamous Jordan doc, The Last Dance.
The Last Dance for our Last Dance in today's session.
Why don't you start it off, Briss?
I'll start it off. So we understand that the documentary is about the Bulls and how Jordan, and it's a documentary of what went on during that time. Right along those lines. I can't exactly remember the years. Was it 96?
No, I think it was later than that.
It's 96, 97. It's going to be about their final title, for a title, but with all show, it's going to throw flashbacks of the whole dynasty, I think.
Okay. So I think what you're going to see is the end of an era, right? Essentially, that's why it's called The Last Dance. However, we're going to look into the image of, in my opinion, and will still be my opinion, the greatest of all time, right? That everybody thinks of the greatest of all time being like, oh, he's probably the greatest person, like he's supposed to be the role model, like that's what you want to be. But I think we're gonna see an evil Jordan, and that's why he came out in the news saying he doesn't know how he's gonna look. I mean, honestly, to be some of these guys at the greatest level, they're truly gonna be an a-hole. I mean, you're gonna get on your teammates. There was discussions about Rodman and Pippen and Jordan always getting at each other in practice, in games. Like, after a while, you don't build a relationship after that. It's only
what I want to see is, I hear they're going to talk about the Steve Kerr punch. Like, they're going to get into that, and that sounds exciting.
That's one of them that is like, I mean, if somebody punched me and it was in the middle of the locker room, oh, we're handling it right there, right? But those guys, it happened, and they just went on. And they went on to play a game, and they are still one of the most successful dynasties to this day, I feel like. Who's next?
You want to take it, Joe's? Oh, I'll take this one. All right. So I'm excited because they're going to do explicit content. Like I heard they're going to be just dropping the F-bombs. Like they're not holding back. They're not bleeping nothing. They're going to just go raw into it. So it's pretty cool. For me, I didn't really watch a lot of basketball growing up, not at least until I got into high school. So I don't know too much of the history about I actually seen it. It's cool for someone my age seeing the actual dynasty or whatever. So that's going to be pretty cool to see. And I actually looked up a few details of what that might be in there. That there was an instance where Jordan skipped out on a White House visit to go play golf with a drug lord. So that's some pretty cool stories to check into. And then there's the other one about when he went to the MLB. There was talks if I guess the MLB had a strike in '94. I was born in '93, so I didn't know. But they had a strike in '94. So they're saying that kind of pushed Jordan back to the NBA. So my thoughts are, what would happen if the strike never went down? You know what I mean? That's interesting stuff. So I'm excited for it overall, the show.
Definitely, I think all three of us were very young. I've gone and watched the YouTube videos of some of his games, of all his clips, but I never got to see him play. I don't know that whole story, right? So I think it's going to be interesting. It's going to be fascinating for us to see that. I think that's what all the guys that talk about sports, that like sports like us, that's what everybody's waiting for right now. I was talking to a buddy of mine the other day. He's like, that's all I'm looking forward to. Everybody's stuck at home and we're devoid of sports right now. This is what everybody's waiting for. The only concern I have is that we'll be disappointed in some way. Everyone's hyping it up. Everyone's into it. Everybody can't wait. I look at my phone. Oh, it's the 17th. Yesterday I looked at the 16th. And then back in my head, that's one of the things I'm like, the 19th coming up. Everybody. But whenever you have those high expectations of something, I think it'll be great. ESPN does the 30 for 30s. They do great jobs. But because we want this so much, I think some of us might get disappointed. I don't think that'll be the case, but that's a concern,
I think that everybody's going to look at it and be like, how could you tolerate this guy? Even if he was the greatest basketball player of the era of all time, how could you tolerate that, right? You hear about stories about Hakeem. Damn it, Josie.
Well, it's going to be a long series. It's going to be aired every Sunday for 10 episodes. So it's going to be this anticipation for the next one, So, it's going to give us a lot of stuff to talk about too. I hope they're not overhyping it, because I'm really excited. And if I'm going to get disappointed, that's going to suck.
Yeah.
That's why I love Kobe.
Same. I think, and I will put MJ, Kobe, LeBron. But that's another discussion later. And yes, we see Josie.
Oh, next topic. I seen his face. Oh, we go into topics on that one. All right.
LeBron is the greatest player of all time. But we can talk about that later. Let's just talk about the documentary right now. I don't want to get there because I'm just gonna go off on that. But I think what you were saying earlier, Briss, is that we might see a darker side of MJ. But I think everybody kind of already has that inclination.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
There's a darker side to MJ, to his greatness as a player. When you put all that focus in there and all you do is just that winning mentality, sometimes things get heated. And I think he's concerned with that too. I saw a story where he was saying, he's afraid of what people will think of him. People might look at him as a monster at that time, But he said that he needed to do what he needed to do to win.
The other thing is, I was hearing on Charles Barkley's podcast with I believe it's Ernie Johnson, as well as their stories with the Dream Team of how Michael Jordan would literally go do whatever he wanted. And I hope some of those are in there. I'm not exactly sure. But he would just be out partying all night, and then they have the game the next day.
Yeah.
I heard the stories that Jordan's just, he's a dick, just for better or worse. But, it's kind of in our day and age, we've seen Kobe. I think that's how Jordan was, where he required excellence for his teammates. So he pushed them, however hard he had to push them. And it could have been disrespectful in some ways. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? And he's human. You know, we always want to hold these athletes to like the highest standard, and we don't hold ourselves to those standards. You know, he was human. He made mistakes. He probably did things he shouldn't have done. Maybe he probably took it too far sometimes. But the man is human. You know, he made those mistakes, and he's older now. He can admit to them, or he can talk about them. But they're they're just part of him. And he was younger. We don't know how he grew up. We don't know all those things, And when you have that much money, when you have that much fame, when you have that title of the greatest, that can get to your head sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
For sure.
he can. But he worked for it, and he probably shouldn't have done everything he did. But it's in the past now.
And then one other thing that we have to be aware of is right, it's a completely different era to 2020, right? People had different morals, not
Yeah, exactly.
different ideologies. Let's just put it like this. I mean, every veteran player has said that this generation could not survive the 90s, the 80s, right? Just because it was a different type of grit. I mean, those guys were no blood, no foul, basically on the court. I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah, definitely. I think that does play into it. Is that different era? All those guys had to be tougher, or if they weren't, they had to act tougher. But I think that's also because of where we are culturally.
Yeah.
That's definitely another conversation, but it ties into that. It ties
Right.
into cultural dynamics. Guys at that time needed to be like all alphas. They needed to show off, how tough they were, or run on their egos. But you know what? Like I said, he's human. He did what he did. He's still one of the greatest players of all time. So,
And one of the greatest.
we have to appreciate what he did.
The greatest.
You see, he likes to leave that conversation open. One of the greatest.
Yeah, I say
I consider him one of the greatest too. I don't want to. I think just because we didn't grow up watching him, older guys, they say Jordan's the best of all time, but
Yeah.
I didn't grow up watching him, so I can't really put my
Let me
stamp on that.
Let me put it like this: when you watch one of his games with the surround sound around you, just the headphones on, and you feel like you're in the stadium, it's magical. I mean, I tried doing that with LeBron.
We don't need to hear about one of your playing sessions with yourself.
Come on, dude. PG.
Going off topic, guys. All right. Let's just safe to say we're all excited for this, and let's hope there's no disappointments going on. You know what I mean?
And everybody that's watching this, once this airs, once we get to see it, we'll bring back what we saw. We'll present you with our take on it. We'll talk about that documentary. This is not the last time you hear about it from us.
And hopefully we get a series going. It may not be an episode. It may just be like a side episode, a series, just a miniature series summarizing, let's say, episodes 1 and 2, or maybe just one episode and seeing what our thoughts were.
Yeah.
However, people got lives, but we are in the middle of a quarantine, so we may be able to watch the entire thing in one night.
Oh, tell me about it, dude. I've been binge watching shows like in one night.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
All right, guys. Sounds like it's a wrap.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, guys. This is the end of the Lakeshow podcast / sports talk. Please leave a like, subscribe, and see you later.
Bring your tissues next week.
Yeah.
Peace.
Peace.